Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everybody, and welcome back to Rush Racing League preseason. It is time for Div 4 to head to Sao Paulo for Interlagos once again. Should be a fun time here tonight. Div 2 was absolutely cinematic, and I just can't wait to see how things happen here tonight. In the commentary booth tonight, it is myself, Patrick Coleman, aka Ruckus, and this time I'm joined by a new voice. Welcome, Durr, everybody. How you doing tonight, mate?
Oh, very good. Bit wet at the moment, but that's all right. Keen to see how tonight goes.
Indeed, yeah, it should be a lot of fun here tonight. I'm sure you'll have an absolute blast. And without any further ado, we're actually just gonna jump straight onto the track, and here we go. Now, what is your experience with this Interlagos circuit? Because I know it's a track that, to my knowledge, doesn't have a lot of haters. Really, it's a very popular track here. So, what are your thoughts on it?
It's a very mix of both. Not only does it have the very quick straights, but it also has those tight, winding corners. It's not too simplistic, but it's not too technical at the same time.
Indeed, yeah, it's one of the best tracks really for an all-around racing experience, and you can honestly try to go for an overtake on pretty much any part of this track, with the exception of this tight and twisty part, like Slash is going through right now. We're gonna run through our grid really quickly. Some faces that you may recognize and some you may not. We have Bucking Bronco, we have Trio Kev, Uncle Morty, Slash, who we're on board with at the moment, and then we have Mitchell, Muzz, Moe Nabs, Patrick, the Fool Guy, Shining Swarm, Calm United, Asif, Genethly, Wild Track, Drewzilla, Keeper, Minman, Spud Muffin, the Governor, and Old Footy Bender. So, a pretty good field here tonight. A full 20 car grid here. And it is short qualifying here. And speaking of qualifying, Slash is not off to the greatest of starts. Invalidates his lap on his very first attempt. Now we're actually going to go down one to Mitchell and go ahead and see how he does. And he invalidates at just about the exact same corner. So that turn two, seemingly catching a lot of people off guard here. As now we jump to Spud Muffin, who is currently unlapping. Unlike the two before him, he actually did not invalidate on the first lap. So, for anyone who may be new to this track, what advice could you give someone here, Dur?
Um, I've found noticed that a lot of people tend to run a lot of downforce to get through those bends. From experience and from talking to some of the higher players, uh, it's really a low downforce is what you want to run because it's all about that straight line speed through the end of that third sector and through sector one.
Yeah, I mean, because here's the thing, right? And you bring up a very good point. Setup and wing balance is always going to be a crucial part, as Spud Muffin does set the fastest time of the session at the moment with a 108.6. So, because this track is predominantly a straight line, so you don't really want to run too much downforce. The only part where you're going to even really use downforce is throughout that second sector, that really twisty part of that second sector. But a good portion of the track is flat out high speed, so the lower downforce, yeah, you're going to suffer a little bit through sector 2, at least the second half of sector 2, but for the most part, you're just going to have so much extra straight line speed, especially coming through the final couple of corners like Trio Kev just did to set a time of a 125. Definitely a warm up, so not the best lap that he could do. But yeah, it's a very fun circuit, and we just see Slash getting right up against the wall there to set a time of a 109.4. So that is a very aggressive to get right up on the wall there. Almost like an F1 esports line there, Dur.
Yeah, it very well could have been. I have I've got a bit of experience with Slushy there, and he does tend to have that sort of pace where he can get that line right and just get through the lap quite well. Whether he can do it today, we'll have to wait and see, but it's a good start for him.
Oh, well, that's not a good start. He just drove straight to the wall. I'm not sure
Well, I
what
spoke too
happened.
soon.
Your first commentator's curse. Welcome aboard, man. But yeah,
Oh, I feel bad.
it's your first, but it most certainly won't be your last. Trust me. I will still never forget the time I commentator cursed a championship on the season finale. It was yeah, I think it was either 2 or 3 seasons ago. I think it was back during season 7. It was my first season with Rush. I was co-commentating. I think it was me and SJ at the time, and a championship was decided, and it was a driver that I was actually saying would win it, but he had a wheel failure at Baku and just absolutely binned it, and this championship was just gone right then and there. So it can always be worse,
Oh,
but I mean, it's called a commentator curse for a reason. It just tends to happen more often than you think. But yeah, it was a very, very unfortunate issue there for Slushy.
yeah, so I feel like I may get a message from him about that. Bit of commentator's curse for him. Best of luck to him in the race, though.
Indeed. And just to kind of remind everybody, this is preseason, so there are no points on offer. And by the time you see this grid after next week, after the 16th, this whole grid could be very different, different drivers with different teams. The whole point of tonight is that you want to impress any team principal that may be watching. We do have a draft coming up on the 16th. We'll talk a bit about the draft order. We talked about it in Div 2. We'll talk about it again at the end of the race. It's an interesting draft format, so and the draft will be live streamed here on the Twitch platform, so be sure to go ahead and drop a follow as Bronco drops a very nice time there. Only 33 hundredths of a second behind Moe Nabs. Very good lap from him there. But yeah, just go ahead and drop a follow. Go ahead and support the channel. And you don't want to miss the draft because that will set our grid for the season, which actually kicks off the day after the draft. So it's going to be a very interesting time to see how quick these drivers get acclimated to their teams. Sometimes the new environments help, sometimes they don't. It really just depends. Now, Durr, I'm going to ask you this. Is there any team in particular that you're hoping to race for this season, or are you only commentating like myself?
I will be racing this season in Div 5. I'm hoping that I'm picked for Red Bull.
All right, and
I've had
actually,
a bit of I've had a bit of experience with Hardbike in the past, and he's helped me out for a few things. But I think under his training, I can definitely improve on my times and get a lot better, and possibly even compete for a win.
he did do wonders with that Alpine team last season. I mean, that was. I know last season we talked a lot about the Williams comeback story, but the Alpine one cannot be understated. Alpine were also not exactly in a super great spot, and then Audemars took that team and basically rebuilt it essentially, something that the IRL Alpine team feels like it needs after their middle of nowhere 2025 season. But it's always going to be interesting, right? Because especially with the draft order, there's two teams in particular that I think could really benefit from the draft order just because of the way the draft is set up. So, interesting stuff.
Yeah,
And
it'll be
also,
interesting to see
apparently,
how it
there's
all goes.
mic balancing issues. That is a interesting one. I have never heard of that one before. Go ahead and continue, Durr. I'm going to try to sort this one out on my end.
Yeah, I'm not sure quite what he means by that, but anyway.
Yeah, that
Moe
is
set that
weird.
Moe set that 108.5, and I mean Bronco come close to it, very close. He overtook Spud Muffin with that, but no one's got there yet.
Yeah, so I'm gonna see something because yeah, so it's actually supposed to be. I'm sorry. I'm gonna just take a look at this real quickly. Actually, you know what? I wonder. I have no idea if this is gonna fix anything. We can certainly try it. It may also be a device-specific issue. I actually just recently got this interface device, so I'm still trying to trifle with it. So still gonna have some teething shenanigans, but hey, that's what preseason's for. You ironing out, you kind of iron everything out, whether it's with the drivers, with stream setup, with audio setup. So
Moe's just gone quicker again by another 4 tenths. It'll be
yeah, so
interesting to
apparently
see if anyone else can knock him off.
it is actually a thing where they can only hear me out of the left ear. That is a interesting one. Yeah, I've actually never ran into that issue, so
Hmm. Let me test that theory quickly.
yeah, because I mean, there's multiple people reporting it, so and it wasn't anything mentioned yesterday, so and I haven't changed anything since then, so some teething shenanigans that we will try to work through. It is one singular qualifying session though, so in this qualifying session, this will set the entirety of the grid. It will not be the three-stage qualifying session that we have seen throughout the season. So it's throughout last season, and you'll probably likely see it throughout the regular season. So we'll just kind of see how it goes as the Fool Guy does improve by over 6/10 of a second. He is up to P13. Everybody has set a lap except for Minmeh in the Alpine, and quite a few drivers are on laps. Now, I know you said you wanted to join Red Bull, so actually, if you want, next time we have a Red Bull going on a lap, I'll let you take over and let you go through run through of a lap. I was gonna put you on board with Drewzilla, but I knew that he was gonna come straight into the pits, and SJ is also in the pits. So yeah, well, about 5 minutes to go. It's about to get very busy on that pit lane.
Yeah, well, Drew Hill is actually. I'm surprised that he's gone that high so far. I mean, he was racing in Div 6 for Alpine last season. We no longer have that Div 6, but he's up in Div 4 now, and I'd be pretty happy with that result for him.
Yeah, so it's going to be interesting to see. There's quite a few drivers on a lap. So the governor is on a lap, and then when he gets onto his flyer, I will let you go ahead and take it away. He is currently coming through the back end of Sector 2, that really twisty middle part of it. And then we'll just kind of have to see how everything does play out. He's going to go ahead and make his way through the small little hairpin there. And now he's about to go ahead and get ready for Sector 3. And Dirk, over to you for the governor.
He's coming up here on the pit straight. Be interesting to see how he goes on this lap. He's opened up on...
Oh, no, he's in the pits.
No, he's gone back in the pits. Okay. I thought he was about to open the DRS flap, but apparently not.
Yeah, that is a interesting one to say the least. How about hop on board with Jeneth in P17 who's just started his lap?
He's getting through that first few corners there, coming out on the battery. We'll see how well he goes along the straight here. Coming around the bend at the bottom of the straight. Plenty of pace through there. Goes down to gear 6 through the next turn. Let's see how he gets through the sector 2 here. Using every inch of that track there. That's what I like to see. Coming up to the final corner now. I imagine he's going to burn the rest of that battery to get to the line. It's looking quick. What can he set? A 109.495. That's 4/10 down on his 4/10 quicker than his previous lap. Takes him up to a P15.
Yeah, that's a very good time there for Jeneth, although still 1.3 seconds off the pace set by Moe Nabs. Moe Nabs might actually get picked up by a Div 3 team with that quick pace. He's about half a second quicker than Bronco. So it's about a minute left to go about a minute and a half left to go in the session. So everybody will get about 1 to 2 more laps, just depending on where everything is situated, where they are all on track. So we're going to go ahead and give this a go. And I'm curious, do you think it's going to be Moe, or do you think somebody else is going to take it? It's getting real busy, especially in Sector 2. Spud Muffin does have the Williams just up ahead. And oh, Shining Swarm is out.
With the amount of traffic, I'm going to have to say I can't see anyone pipping Moe at this point.
Yeah,
from P2 right down to, what's that, P9? There's 2 and a bit tenths in that. That's all it takes. But to him, there's another 4 tenths.
Yeah, so we're just going to have to see how this one all kind of sorts itself out. Spud's in the pits. His qualifying is done. Minman's actually on an out lap, so he'll be able to try to go for one final attempt. And here we go, making his way through the Senna S's here. Getting a little snappy. Oh, how he did not validate right then and there is beyond me. So here we go. He's going to go ahead and try to fire it up. Turn on the afterburners. Letting that Renault engine sing and make his way through, going through turn 4. And now he's coming up to the very technical second half of Sector 2. And he's going to go ahead and try to make his way out. Oh, and he spins it! And that's going to be his qualifying lap in the bin. He will start from P20 on the grid. That is so heartbreaking.
Peeper's just gone up to P2 and Governor P3. Patrick's P4. They've knocked down Bronco and Drusilla.
So,
Drusilla will not get another lap in. We'll see if Bronco can go any quicker.
He does.
He does.
That
Bronco back to P2.
Simply lovely. Very, very nicely done. What about Trio Kev? Can Trio Kev improve? Trio Kev.
He's going into the pits.
He will not be improving. So that is our qualifying grid here. Done and dusted. So here's the crazy thing too. Even though Slushy crashed out in the first 2 minutes of quali, he still got 15th.
I imagine he will be a bit disappointed with that, but at the same time, for what he had happen, there's not a lot you can do from what he had happen. I actually just got a message from him. His controller decided that it didn't want to work.
Oh, you gotta love when that happens. But anyways, we're gonna go ahead and run through our qualifying order. It is Moe ahead of Bronco, Keeper, The Governor, Patrick, Drewzilla, Spud Muffin, Carmen Iden, Asif, Trio Kev, Old Footy Bender, Uncle Morty, Wild Track, Full Guy, Slushy, Jeneth, Mitchell, Muzz, Shining Swarm, and Minmay, who was on a lap but spun right there at the end. So that is a very unfortunate moment, but it does tend to happen. So we'll just kind of see how this runs out. But once again, we'll just kind of have to see how everything goes on. But yeah, it should be a interesting one to say the least. Really looking forward to see how this one goes. Should be a fun time here in Sao Paulo. And it's going to be a blast. Sao Paulo always delivers as a track. It's always a beautiful time here. Interlagos, I mean, you could battle on 99% of the track. So we'll just kind of have to see how this one goes. Should be a lot of fun. And yeah, any wild predictions here before we go to get started with this preseason race here for Div 4?
This might sound a bit wild, but I'm willing to say that if Slushy can stay on the track, I could see him going into the top 5.
Ooh, all right. So we'll just kind of have to see how this one goes. Going to try to get one quick other fix in. If it doesn't get done in time, then we'll just sort it out for the next one. Alright, so here we go. We're about to get ready for Sao Paulo as those 5 red lights come on and get ready to go. And it's lights out and away we go here in Sao Paulo, Brazil. We are racing now, and this is going to be an absolutely fun one. We do have Keeper making up some positions. The Governor trying to fight for some positions as well. Everybody trying to jockey for position coming through the first DRS zone. Obviously, his first lap DRS won't be enabled. But here we go. Here are the tire strategies at the moment. A majority of the field has opted to run that medium tire compound. Slushy on the hards, Patrick on the softs. Slushy up some positions himself, and we have some shenanigans afoot. And actually, it looks like the Fool Guy almost made a fool of himself and almost wiped out there. So a bit of a rough go for him. Just trying to get those medium tires fired up, and he's going to do battle here with Moose now, as he's going to continue to try to sort himself out. It is a very wide track here, unlike some of the tracks that we race at. I mean, this is like the exact opposite of like your Monaco or your Hungary, where this is a very wide track, so you have a lot of opportunity to make moves here.
Yeah. Slushy's already up 6 positions up into P9. It's a good start for him. Muzz is up into P11 with 7 positions gained.
So yeah, actually we have quite a few drivers in the pits. Both McLarens are in the pits, as we do have Triokev and Muzz trying to go do some battle here. So Shining Swarm and both McLarens having to get rear wing replacement or front wing replacements. And wow, yeah, that's a bit of a rough start there for these guys. So it must have been some of the lap 1 action that we missed, but those guys are back on the track. Bronco and Keeper doing battle. Looks like Bronco got a little bit unsettled there, had a little bit of a snap. And then we have Patrick trying to go ahead and do battle. He's trying to go ahead and try to jump ahead and get the most out of those soft tires while he can. I mean, the soft tires is an interesting pick. It is a 35% race compared to the usual 50% race that we do at Rush. It is preseason, so you're pretty much just trying to show that you have good race pace and good consistency and good racecraft. Those are the main things. The less trips you have to the stewards, the more attractive you are as a prospect to a team principal from a performance standpoint. You can be quick, but if you're constantly getting penalties and such, it's going to hurt the team. In the overalls, which is the big one.
Ooh.
Ooh.
Old footy bender's just gone flying off on that corner.
Yeah, a little bit of carbon fiber flying a bit further up the road as well. So, yeah, it doesn't take a lot to get unsettled here, as we do have some pretty solid battles happening up and down the field. Not a lot of spread here. I mean, everybody is in DRS between P1 and P10. Or P9, sorry. Everybody else within DRS.
I'm guessing that Uncle Morty must have been in the back of that double stack with the McLarens, as he's really lost off on the pace now.
Yeah, Uncle Morty did get caught up in that. He just got caught up in the shenanigans that happened with his teammate for the night and also Shining Swarm. So they're all dropped way back and really far off. But now Moe has actually broken DRS, which is going to be very, very crucial here. And so Keeper and Bronco really got to work together to try not to lose out on this one. Oh, and it's a slide there from Keeper, just turning his Formula 1 car into a Formula Drift Sauber. And he will lose a handful of positions there. He dropped down to 8th, and he was fighting for a potential podium position. He does have Drewzilla just behind him. Spud Muffin going to also try to put pressure onto his teammate of Slushy. So this is going to be some good battles up and down the field. We do have a yellow, and it's Triokev. Triokev has just spun it into the grass, and he'll go back on track. No need for a safety car, but does he have rear wing damage? I think no. I think he might have survived. We'll see if he comes into the pits here and then retires the car. Let's see. He's coming into the pits. Is that a retirement? Nope, it is not a retirement. He is going to continue on. So, luckily, no rear wing damage. Unlike the front wing, if you damage that rear wing, then that's kind of all she wrote.
Bucking's starting to catch up on Moe out the front there. He's closing that gap significantly.
Indeed, yeah, the Bronco is doing pretty good here, galloping his way closer to that P1 position. And he's broken away from Patrick, which Patrick, I mean, he's going to be on those soft tires. So those soft tires are really good in an opening stint, but as that stint wears on, it just becomes so difficult, especially with F125's tire wear model. And this is going to be a very easy pass, or at least it should be for Asif. We'll see about the Prancing Horses defense. One of the reigning overall champions in the Aston Martin is going to go ahead and jump up into P3. And the Governor also gets a move in. He's going to try to make it stick through the San S's, and he does. So the Governor is now in the Red Bull, trying to make the most of it. So we'll just kind of see if he can catch up here. So here's the question I'm going to pose to you. If you were Patrick, let's say, running that soft tire, what lap would you want to come into the pits and try to swap to a hard tire compound? Because, I mean, you're going to be a sitting duck at this stage compared to everybody else.
Look, to safely make it home, you just try and push it as far as you physically can, but I think anything much earlier than, say, lap 9 would be, you'll have to stop again at that stage, or you're going to lose too much pace at the rear end of the race on those hards, because I'd imagine he's going to go to hards after this.
Yeah, so we'll just kind of have to see how it goes. And actually, Bronco does get past. He does get past here. Bronco, one of the new drivers in Rush, in the lead of this Div 4 preseason race here. So Bronco is going to continue, and he's already pulling up a pretty nice gap here. He's already up by almost 8 tenths. He's about to drop him out of DRS range here, which on lap 7 is pretty strong. Now, granted, this is going to be a shorter race, so generally, unless you have damage like Janeth, Shining, and Uncle Morty, then a one-stop is going to be your ideal strategy here, just because it is a shorter race. So, I mean, making more than one stop really isn't applicable here. So, we do have Patrick now trying to keep the gap, at least in a manageable range now. You have two drivers on two completely separate sets of tires in P5 and P6 with Patrick and Slushy. So, Slushy, I think got tagged or tagged the back of Patrick. Gets spun, and he's got wing damage.
He was all the way up to P5 there. He'd gained 10 positions before that incident.
He's missing that front left end plate. So, yeah, that is a rough one for the Kick Sauber driver, who pretty much got one lap in qualifying, then his controller disconnected and straight crashed into a wall, separating a tire from the chassis. Mitchell now gets a 3-second time penalty for track limit infractions. We saw a good amount of those last night in the Div 2 race. So it's pretty easy to do, especially because through a lot of these corners you just carry so much momentum. It is insane how much momentum you actually carry through on this track. So Asif is now going to be in DRS of the Governor, and we'll see if the Red Bull can defend it here. He's going to go ahead and give it a go, and he wasn't nearly close enough, but that too much real estate in between Asif and the Governor to make it stick. Patrick is now getting ahead of Drewzilla, trying to fight it out here. It's going to be a drag race coming down into turn number 4. A drag race which Patrick does win in that Scarlet Ferrari. And we do have some pit stops cycling on through. Keeper is in, or he just got out of the pits. He is swapped to the hard tire. He's going to maybe try to make that one to the end. I mean, I would reckon that, although unless damage was a factor, I mean, I reckon that these mediums should go about 11-ish laps, I would say.
Yeah, I think that they do something around that 10 mark. Depending on also what sort of setup you're running. Oh, that's going to hurt Moe.
Indeed, that's such a rough one to get. Patrick, he got hit with one too. So 2 drivers with a 10-second speeding in the pit lane violation. And that's a killer. That, I mean, and Mitchell now also getting a 10-second pen for that. Man, everybody's just getting penalties left, right, and center for that one. That's going to make Broncos night a lot easier now. We are on lap 10 out of 25 here at Sao Paulo. And man, Broncos night just got that much easier.
Yes, unfortunately. I mean, in such a short race, those 10-second penalties can be so detrimental.
Yeah, that's so weird. I mean, it happens. It's happened almost every single race, and it feels like another one of the major stark differences between F1 25 and F1 24 is that in 24, I feel like I rarely ever saw that happen. So it just tends to kind of happen. I know there's a lot of tracks where that's really easy to do, but man, it is borderline impossible to recover from.
A longer distance race, it affects you a lot less than what this short track will do to you.
Yeah, I mean, it happens, but it is so devastating when it does. So pit stops are cycling through for a good chunk of the field here. The governor now in a podium position at the moment, trying to chase down Asif. He's got a pretty good gap by pretty much everybody. I mean, Moinab's on track might be able to retake the lead here, so yeah, we'll
I mean,
see.
he's still over 10 seconds in front of Patrick or Keeper there, so if he can stay in the clean air, he may very well still be able to be up the front. Bronco may still beat him on the final positionings, but you'll just have to wait and see.
Yeah, taking a look at it right now, I mean, lose about 20 seconds in the pit stops as Muzz now goes in and gets 10 seconds added because he got caught speeding in the pit lane. And at the time, Moe was about 18 seconds off the leader. So, I mean, he's going to be able to jump right back into P1 on track. Just because, I mean, the top three still need to make their pit stop. I'm surprised that that Bronco and Governor have been pushing that tire as long as they have. Mitchell does get the fastest time of the session. He has opted to switch to the soft tire compound. Bit of a interesting strategy there for the Aston Martin. We will see if it pays off. He does get past the Alpine of Minmay, who's trying to fight it back. But unfortunately, there's nothing he can do. That position is firmly in Mitchell's hands at the moment. Bronco now making his way into the pits in his Mercedes. And then Moe is making his way through the last couple of corners to go to begin his next lap. And he will go ahead and jump Bronco. Now, I'm not surprised that Slushy is still out because you can get like at least 13 laps on a set of hards. You can probably get closer to 15 laps on a set of hards. But the fact that the governor is still out and he's still on that old set of medium tires as Trio Kev now gets a penalty for track limits. And oh, I think he spun. Yeah, it's actually spun. And he's going to rejoin. I don't know. He might have some pretty massive damage there on the Haas.
I think Governor will have to pit this lap because Slushy has closed that gap significantly between them.
Yeah, he's got to now. I mean that's what I mean. Tires is probably falling off the bone like a well-cooked brisket. And yeah, he comes into the pit. So yeah, those mediums are coming straight off. Those tires are done. I have seen go-kart tires with more life than those mediums probably at this stage. So. Also, another thing I just noticed is that Slushy has a green visor while driving the only green car on the field in the Sauber. So that's I think that kind of shows what team he wants to race for in Season 10. But yeah.
Possibly could.
What do you make of this race here so far? And how are you enjoying your first time here in the commentary booth?
Very much enjoying my first time here in the commentary booth. From the race, it's been a very interesting race to say the least with the different strategies that have come around. I thought it'd be pretty unison with just the medium hards, but the few guys have thrown on softs there. Slushy's the only one to start on hards, and we'll just have to see where that brings him out when he does eventually pit for those mediums.
Yeah, I mean, strategy. And here's the thing, too. With it being preseason, and he is going to come into the pits now, with this being preseason, I mean, this is really probably the best time to experiment with a specific strategy, if you will. So you get a lot of good opportunities because there's no points on the line. You're not going to really damage or hurt your prospects purely on strategy.
They're putting a new wing on Slushy's car, so that's going to hurt him even more.
He was missing that end plate.
I mean, he seemed to be racing fine without it. Whether he needed it or not, that's another question, but
Yeah, we're not sure.
He
Oh, but
come
look at this. He came out right in kind of a bit of a traffic jam just behind Com United, and you got the full guy just behind, and Wild Shark as well, not too far behind them. So battles happening up and down this field here. Now, Slushy is going to be on the best tire possible at this stage, with about 10 laps to go here in this preseason race. We'll see if Slushy can start clawing his way through the field.
Moe's got 5 seconds over Bucking, but it seems like Bucking's just sitting around that same gap. He's not letting him get away, but he's not really catching him either.
Yeah, so that's going to be it'll be interesting to see because he's harvesting now. He's actually using a fair amount of battery. So, yeah, he's actually trying to kind of catch up, but he's kind of bouncing around with the different ERS settings. So, I mean, who knows? Maybe Moe has just got the pace with 10 laps to go. Maybe he's fired it up. He knows what he needs to do. Now, here's the thing. Bronco only has to stay within actually, take a look
Within
at the
10.
penalties. Yeah, 10. So, I mean, this is going to be kind of a slam dunk for him either way. So, but if he's not careful, if he eases off the pace too much, then Bronco can actually start letting that gap slip and slip. And, you know, I mean, I know losing about like 1/10 a lap or so doesn't sound like a lot. But, I mean, that 10th could easily add up, especially as these tires get older and older. Now, Bronco does have 3-lap fresher tires, but at the same time, Moe's are already up to that perfect temperature, while Broncos might be around that point already. The hard tire does take the longest to get fired up.
Slushy's just throwing out pace out there. He is putting that car through the ringer to try and get up in positions. He's currently chasing down Drew Ziller, but it's a second gap to him.
He did just set the fastest lap of the session, and Wild Track has retired in the pits. So that is our first retirement here. Shining Swarm will get a track limit violation again. There's all the penalties as it sits at the moment. You got 10 seconds for 4 different drivers, for Moe, for Patrick, for Muzz, and for Mitchell, who also has a 3-second penalty on top of that to bring the total up to 13. So, very unfortunate for him. The top 3 have really kind of spread out here in this one. The pit stops have done a pretty good job of spreading everybody out. So, we'll just kind of have to see how the rest of this Brazilian Grand Prix goes.
At this point, Moe will be finishing third with Bucking in first and Asif in the Aston in P2. Because Patrick also having that 10-second penalty will really push him down the order as well.
From one Patrick to another, that is heartbreaking to see. But it's preseason. That's really your best time to kind of iron out the kinks. And, I mean, it happens all the time in regular season, too. Because, I mean, hey, look at that. We just saw another penalty for track limit violation. So, yeah, penalties are pretty prevalent here. As it looks like just about half the grid seemingly has at least a penalty for something, whether it's track limits, whether it's pit lane infraction. I mean, quite a few different ways to get penalties here at F125. All of them are heartbreaking, and it can really just ruin your whole race. We see Asif now trying to get a move up the inside with the DRS going through these. And as there's a bit of contact there between Asif and Patrick. And Asif will have the move done, and he is up into third position. But he had to do a little bit of argy-bargy to get through. Another battle here between Com United and Muzz. These guys were doing battle here, and actually now Muzz is losing speed. He just got passed by a car that didn't even, it looked like the full guy didn't even have DRS. Winneman made that pass, and oh, we have a Haas that is off the track. It is Spud Muffin. Spud Muffin had a bit of a moment there. And we have drama. Drama in the midfield, in the back. It's Jonathan Shining having a bit of an issue there. So, yeah, it's just not been the knife of the McLarens or the V-Carbs here.
Yes, it's quite unfortunate to see. I mean, Keeper's fought his way back up into 5th in that kick. Technically, that'd put him... He'll be ahead of Patrick due to the penalty. Oh, Gov's just passed Keeper.
Oh, and Keeper's trying to fight back. Keeper's trying to retake the position. It's the... both drivers are on the hard tire compound, so... Slushy gets a 3-second pen. And his day just keeps going on a roller coaster of emotions as the governor is now trying to get past, or trying to keep Keeper from getting past him. And he forces him to back out of a move, so he's going to give himself a bit of breathing room. But as we know here, breathing room really doesn't exist for super long. Before you know it, it just becomes calamity. More accurately, just somebody pretty much right up your gearbox. We do have Asif now trying to get back past Patrick here. We'll see if the DRS is going to give Asif the move onto the Ferrari. And no, it is not. So you just got to stay tucked in as we are down to the final 5 laps of this session here. So we'll see if, I mean, Asif's going to get it done on penalties either way. But, I mean, he's a racing driver. He wants to get it done on track. The second DRS zone might have been his golden ticket. And it looks like, sure enough, there it is. The move is done and dusted. Asif up in a P3.
If Governor keeps pushing, he could end the penalties are put in place.
Yeah, honestly, I mean, anything is possible here, and it's down to the final 5 laps, and this is a quick track, so these laps are going to get done, I mean, sooner rather than later, so we're just going to have to see who can go ahead and make this one work, who is going to go ahead and just hold on to which positions here, as there's going to be battles up and down the field. The DRS here is pretty potent, as we have seen here, so, I mean, you got to really just... And some drivers might just wait, try to build a battery. Spud Muffin certainly isn't. Spud Muffin's down to 16% battery. So, and yeah, actually burning more of it. So he's actually almost flatlined his battery, trying to stay ahead of the Sauber of Keeper. So, and Muzz gets a 3-second penalty. I think that's another one added onto his tally. So, man. It has just been penalty central here. Patrick gets another 3-second pen for his trouble. But, I mean, so far there's been some pretty big movers. Asif, the biggest mover so far. He has moved up into a podium position and has gained 6. Slush has also gained 6, as well as Minmeh. So, quite a few drivers moving up and down the field. As we are coming down to...
Muzz there's gained 7. And he actually came into this race as a reserve for Div 4 coming out of Div 5. So, I mean, from what we've seen tonight, he could very well end up with a full-time seat in Div 4.
Indeed, we'll just have to be sure to check in on the draft night and see where he goes. Because I think, with a performance like that, he could really be a very valuable asset to any team on the grid. Especially teams who are kind of wanting that consistency. Haas were dead last in the overalls last season, so they're going to want to try to step it up here. And speaking of stepping it up, Muzz going to try to step it on the outside. The Ferrari getting very aggressive on the defense there. Com United getting aggressive here. And the Fool guys trying to fight it out, but just ran out of room. And this is getting very spicy here in the midfield with 3 to go. Oh, look at this. Bender gonna dive it up the inside.
Ooh,
Oh, that's massive.
oh.
That's big battle and big contact between Calm United and Minman. Yeah, I think they just kind of locked wheels and just got sent to that second sector.
I mean, Muzz is probably thinking that's great. He didn't get involved in it, and now he gets a bit of clean air to race with. But for them, that's not exactly an ideal happening.
Exactly. So, and now we are down to the penultimate lap of the Brazilian Grand Prix here in Rush Racing Season 10 preseason here for Div 4. It is about to come to an end as now we are getting ready to begin the final lap of the Grand Prix here. We still have some battles happening up and through the field. I think there was a Sauber. I think that might have been Slushy having a bit of a moment there, trying to just chase down Drewzilla. So we will just have to see. And something that you brought up earlier is that that final podium spot is actually going to be it's going to be a fight between the Governor and Spud Muffin as we do begin the final lap of the Brazilian Grand Prix here. And this has been a very chaotic race at the start, and then it mellowed out later on throughout, especially with the multiple variable strategies. Penalties also playing a huge role in tonight's proceedings. And so we'll just have to see how this goes. Drewzilla gets a 3-second time penalty on the final lap, and that's going to leave a mark. And now, oh, look at this, side by side. It is the Governor and Spud Muffin battling out for what is going to be that final podium position. Patrick is going to be at least on track in the mix, although he's got 13 seconds of penalty, so he'll drop way down the order as well.
I don't think they're going to get close enough in order to get that P3. I think Moe's got enough of a gap there to the point where they won't be able to get it.
I think you're right here. So we're going to see he's going to come across the line now. Moe Nabs will win the Brazilian Grand Prix on track, but Bucking Bronco, what may be his debut here in Rush Racing League, he gets a victory. And a very nice one at that. Asif will go ahead and jump in. And the Governor was just short by a little under a second. And that is our Brazilian Grand Prix done and dusted here in Sao Paulo, Brazil. What a race it was.
Look, my early prediction was Slushy in the top 5. I didn't quite get that right, but I was pretty close there with a P7 for him.
He made up some pretty good positions. I mean, he made up 8 positions, so he made up more positions than everybody on the track, with the exception of Minmay. So Minmay made up 9 positions from where it started. So Minmay's going to be a hot commodity on the driver market. Slushy as well might also be a pretty hot commodity on the driver market for the draft when the draft kicks off on the 16th of January. So about 11 days from now. But yeah, that is the race done and dusted. And we're going to run through our final order here after the celebrations, and then we're going to go ahead and talk about the draft for a short while. And then we're going to go ahead and let things go off into the sunset. But Dur, give us a quick summary of the Grand Prix while the podium celebrations kick off.
It was an eventful one, to say the least. There was a fair few penalties there for speeding in pit lane and a couple track limits. There was a few bumps and scratches where people lost wings, but that will happen. Look, it was very unfortunate for Moe there to end up with that 10-second penalty. It did cost him that Grand Prix win, but look, he was at least lucky enough to stay on the podium.
Indeed, so we're going to run through our final order here. It is Bronco to Asif to Moe to the Governor Spud Muffin, Keeper, Slushy, who did get the fastest lap of the 110.2. And then it's Drewzilla, Patrick, Fool Guy, Minman, Bender, Com United, Muzz, Mitchell, Uncle Morty, Shining Swarm, Jennifer Trio Kevin, our only retirement from the Grand Prix of Wild Track. So that is going to go ahead and wrap things up for the Grand Prix. But before we go anywhere, we're going to go ahead and talk about the draft really quickly. So the draft order is going to show up in about 3, 2, and 1. So here is the draft order. Ferrari gets a first round draft pick, followed by Mercedes, McLaren, Williams, VCarb, Kick Sauber, Red Bull, and then we have Alpine, Aston Martin, and then Haas. And then the order reverses. So there we go. Haas, Aston Martin, Alpine, Red Bull, Kick, VCarb, Williams, McLaren, and so on and so forth. And then the pattern, as you guys can see, it does repeat. So Ferrari and Haas have a really good chance to really benefit from the draft order. But yeah, we'll see who makes the most of the draft here. So that's going to go ahead and wrap things up here in Brazil. It has been a fun one for the preseason. A massive thank you to everybody for tuning on in. And a massive thank you to Durr for jumping into the booth for the first time. How did you enjoy it?
I enjoyed that very much, and I had a very enjoyable time with commentating with you. I think that's pretty well all I've got to say.
Yeah, it was a good time. Hopefully we get to see more of you in the commentary booth. And hopefully we get to see more of you guys next time around. We still have quite a few more divisions. I think we have Div 5 coming up tomorrow, I believe. And then it'll be Div 3. Or it might be the other way around. But regardless, we still have 2 more divisions to go for the rest of preseason. But that's going to be it for us here. Thank you guys so much for tuning on in. Hopefully you guys did enjoy. On behalf of everybody, I want to thank our sponsors, Sim Racing Center, Pagnian, SimLab, and AI369. You guys are all fantastic. Thank you guys all in the Twitch chat for tuning on in every single time we go live. It is an absolute blessing, and we love to see it, and we hope to see you next time. On behalf of everybody, my name has been Patrick Coleman, a.k.a. Ruckus, and we have been your hosts and commentators for tonight's Grand Prix, and we'll see you guys next time. Have a good night.